Right or wrong, New Orleans, Louisiana, after Hurricane Katrina, has become the testing ground for many approaches to the education of our children. We discovered successes, schools that embraced the children who showed up and taught them well. Of those, this film focuses on the success of only these 4, selected by the Orleans Public Education Network. These 4, because even though 2 were charter schools and 2 were not, and even though 2 were moved from the Orleans Parish School Board to the Recovery District and 2 were not, we discovered that they shared certain characteristics, 7 correlates of quality education, characteristics which echo the findings of national research efforts.
Mr. Landry comes in probably about 2 to 3 times a week and asks our kid into the classroom specifically. He asks the kids what they're working on, when he if they can show what they're doing, asks them to make predictions about what we're doing in the classroom, about what's going to happen next. Introduces them to visitors constantly. You know, a genuine interest in the students. When he sees us as the teachers, he is asking, when he sees us preparing things, he asks us what we're doing, if we need anything.
I think my job is to try to get them everything they need in the way of resources, and to get both physical resources and intellectual resources, and to challenge and support them to do their very best.
He ducks his head and I'll say at least once a week. At least once a week he passes by.
The administrative structure is really a key for us, because without the people who work as administrators in the building, this school would be nowhere. As one example, our business manager handles all of our relationships with the vendors, with our food service and our transportation service and our landscaping service and our bus service. He does all of those things. There's a person who is our curriculum and instruction person, and she is in charge of what goes on in the classrooms all the time.
We have division meetings and administrative meetings with Mr. Landry on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and we will throw out ideas and problems and come together to solve those problems, to meet the needs of our students.
I see the principal every day. Mrs. Smith is very, very involved with everything everyone is doing. We have weekly staff meetings every Tuesday where it's direct interaction with she and the entire administrative staff.
We see her a lot. She comes to check on us, and sometimes she even helps us study.
No matter what it is that they're doing in the neighborhood, no matter what the neighborhood is, that this school is like a haven, a safe haven for them, where learning is taking place, and where the kids have something to gain.
Listening to your suggestions, taking them into consideration, taking any complaints and paying attention to them.
I have an open door policy. I expect that the teachers come every day and work every day. I expect the teachers to teach as if they were teaching their own students, their own kids.
But in the elementary schools, on any given day from nearly any takeoff point, there's a lot of stuff going on. And when you have a principal as involved as our principal is, at any point, from any takeoff point during the day, you may be involved in something she's doing. You may be called upon to donate some time to something.
Every month we sit down and we talk about what it is that's going on in the classrooms, because you can go into the classroom and visit and everything's going to go quite well when people know they're going to be observed. But in this case, we go so often until you just can't say, well, Ms. Smith is coming today. We don't send out notices anymore. We just walk in, the teachers just agree with that and they go with that.
So I feel that as the instructional leader, I must communicate continuously the mission of the school. I must ensure that effective management of the instructional program. To that end, there are a number of things that we have put in place to ensure, because post-Katrina, we realized that everybody was not doing the same thing. So we felt that we were doing things that enable children to be successful, allow children to learn. So therefore, we continued and elaborated on what we were doing.
see her every day, interact with her on a daily basis. She's very visible here at school, visiting classrooms, assisting the teachers where they need to be assisted, talking to the students. She's in the cafeteria, she's out on the yard. So she's very visible.
You have to be comfortable because you're on the move, and you have to be on the move. You have to go make sure the children know that you're here. You visit classrooms, you talk to children, you talk to teachers. So you have to be comfortable, and that's why we're naturalizer shoots.
We meet daily. We meet with the principal daily, but we do have once a week meeting with her as a team to review any difficulties that we may be having in the school. If there's a need for her to address a particular problem with a teacher, that's a once a week meeting. But then we do have curriculum meeting once a month, and faculty meeting once a month, where she meets with the whole entire student faculty.
As a monitoring piece, we provide her with a monitoring report weekly, about any problems we're seeing and what are the possible solutions, and what we have done already to alleviate the problem, and make sure that she has an opportunity to give us some additional input if she wants something different done.
She comes around to visit classrooms to make sure that things are running smoothly. So I will see her anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week.
It's a family at Coghill. Ms. Jones is basically the mother of all of us, and we very much appreciated her.
You have a vision of how it should look, and so then I just drive home. You should believe it could happen because it happens right here. So it's real close to you. The kids who can do it are in your midst. If they can do it in the first period class, they can do it in the second period class. So it starts just teaching teachers that it can happen.
Ms. Jones is always pushing and pushing and pushing the teachers. She's pushing the students to do their very best at all times. And so when the school improvement score continues to go up, that's one of the best things that, you're part of an exciting school and one that's doing a good job for those students.
The interaction is daily, all throughout the day.
I see her every day walking around. She'll come into the classroom, she'll talk to the children. I'll see her in the hallway, I'll see her just all over campus.
She's always walking around, so wherever we are, we're bound to see her do her daily walkthrough to each class. And when she does that, if she has something to talk to us about, she'll say, okay, well, we'll have a meeting later on and give us the time. Right. But other than that, she's always walking. Right. So she's going from one end to the next. So the kids see her constantly as well.
Right. And we have scheduled leadership meetings at least once a week. And then, as Patrice said, if she needs to speak to us, she'll call a leadership meeting on the spot.
We meet and we talk all day long, at night, all the time. We're in constant communication.
But it's a lot of camaraderie. She values what we say. We value what she says.
It was impressive to see that the administrator, with all that the job entails, that she was out interacting with the students. And so I told her that once I was hired, and I see that it's ongoing. So she's in the classroom, she's out and about the campus continuously, and that's new for me. I've not seen that before.
At Moton School, our mission as well as our goals all evolve around the children. We need to ensure that everything is put in place to ensure that our children are successful.
Well, the mission here is for teachers to have a workable relationship with both students and parents to promote success. And my job here is to make sure that happens through academics, through a rapport with both parents and teachers.
Well, our mission statement is to increase academic success by promoting continuous educational development for all learners. And that means that we want to make sure that every kid who comes through Bethune get a real good education, something strong that maybe later on in life they could apply those skills to middle and high schools and become successful, productive citizens in this world.
The mission includes making sure that every child learns to their greatest capacity, and there are many children who are falling through the cracks, especially as regarding their reading skills, which affects every other learning skill. And my job is to catch the children who are falling through the cracks and help them come up several levels to where they can at least survive and then hopefully excel.
My job connects to the mission because I teach all the children, and we have academic success for all the children, all 23.
My job is to keep the children going and keep them striving to be better students and to achieve the goals that they need to achieve academically and socially.
My whole goal is to make sure we can demonstrate that all children, no matter where they're from, can come to school and do well.
Achievement remains our #1 goal, safety of the students and their academic achievement goals.
My mission is to run a school where children from all walks of life, from all areas of the city can come. They can feel safe. They can get their lessons from bell to bell, and they can enjoy a school experience. And it's a simple mission, but it's hard to pull off because teachers and people must be lined up in the right places to get the job done.
I think my job fits in because I'm helping the children to succeed, to learn, to be successful at school and in life.
Let us say the mission statement together.
Or maybe like the last school I ran, they had a mission, but I realized very quickly that the adults in the school didn't really understand what that mission meant and how it translated into day-to-day instructional practice. And this school was really no different in that respect. There was a big disconnect between what the stated mission of the school was and what the actual day-to-day practice was. And in every one of those cases, in every school, to me, the turnaround had to occur first with the adults on campus. If the adults on campus understood what the mission was and saw that there was serious leadership about attaining that mission, and having the kids succeed in that mission, then things began to turn around. There is such a thing as a tipping point. There is such a thing as getting the flywheel moving so that momentum can be built for success. And so far, I'm happy to say that's what's begun to happen here.
The mission of the students is for all students to succeed, every single one of them, to grow academically as well as socially, and for us to be accountable for all of the students in our classrooms. My job is to work with teachers to make sure that we are servicing the children in the best way possible, and to help the students learn and be confident enough to push themselves to grow and to help us teach them and help us help them.
Well, we're very serious about preparing students for college preparatory high schools. That's how we look at it. Prior to my coming here, I was running a school for 3-year-olds through the 12th grade in Colorado, and that flow of college prep academics really began way back in kindergarten for those kids who were there. And that's what we want to do now. There are ways of approaching elementary school academics that will prepare kids for college preparatory work in high school, and that's what we intend to do.
We also, my responsibility is also to make sure that the teachers are teaching their grade level expectations, make sure that my parents are happy with the progress of the students, make sure that my students are ready for first grade and ready for kindergarten, and also to make sure my parents are meeting with meet monthly on a monthly basis to make sure that homework is being done, make sure that they have the necessary tools at home for preparing their students, for preparing their kids for school.
Well, my job is to prepare students who are coming into first grade for second grade and third grade. So when they come in, I work with them on the fundamentals, making sure that they have the fundamentals that are necessary to complete first grade. And it's also my job to check their reading levels, to see which level they're reading on, and to work with them to reach our goal. And our objective is to have our children reading on a level 16. So my goal is to work with my students to help them to reach that level with the reading and the writing.
Basically, what I was told when I took the job was that they wanted to integrate the arts with the normal classroom curriculums, and that really has been my biggest achievement, is that I think I have aligned my classroom, my art classroom, with what's going on in a first grade classroom or what's going on in a second grade classroom. I could take a science standard and I can apply that to an art lesson. If they're doing the weather cycle in science, I can take a collage project where they make art using paper, and I have them make the weather cycle or the water cycle in that medium. And I think that's really the strength of what we do here at Lafayette, is that everything is connected, and nothing is just standalone, or nothing is wasted. Like, every second is maximized, and I think that's our biggest strength, is that everything's connected.
What is expected is for them to show up every day, on time, go to class, and we call it get their lessons, but to them it means sit in class, do their work, do whatever the teacher asked them to do. So we teach them, we go through a lot of teaching in the beginning of the year, what we call getting your lesson instruction. So we show you, this is what we want you to do, this is what you're expected to do every day. Go to class, sit in your seats, get your lessons.
I guess we take the children that no one else, a lot of schools don't want to work with. So we have children who really need to feel at home someplace. We have children that we really need to help understand that they are as important as everyone else and that they can do as well as everyone else.
It's ingrained through the leadership team to help one another obtain our goals. We'll set our goals in leadership, and everyone will work together to obtain the goal. We may have different assignments, but everybody can pick up and help out to make certain things happen. And we do have that philosophy of team. There's no I in team.
So, we're all teammates and we're working collaboratively to do what's best for every student. And I think that the students see us interacting that way, and they in turn interact the same way. So they, really have respect for, each other and for the teachers most of the time. I think we all work like a family.
We feel we prepared our students to go out into this, to the other middle school or high schools and do well and make us proud. And I think of everything that we're doing, that culture is that we value them and we're giving them the best that they can get from us.
We expect all children to succeed. Everybody deserves an equal and great education, and we just want them to succeed.
We have some very clear and consistent expectations for our students. They're embodied in the school values, which we recite every day at assembly. They are respect, responsibility, and reach. We expect the students to respect themselves, respect others, respect their teachers and their school. We expect them to take responsibility for their education, responsibility for their actions, and responsibility for their school. And we expect them to reach for excellence, to reach to make the world a better place, and to reach to support each other.
And when I talk to my teachers about instruction in their classroom and the level of instruction, I ask them, is your classroom, are you running your classroom like you would want your child's classroom run? Are you teaching at the level that you would want your own child taught at? And that really makes a person stop and think, am I doing the best job that I can do as though this were my own child? Would this be acceptable if this were my own child?
People look at that school as one of the silk stock and great schools. So just because their moms and dads have 6 zeros behind their income and ours do not, does not mean their quality of education should be different.
Right.
So one of the things that I do is I go in those classrooms, we all do, and demand that our teachers teach these students to the best of their ability, to the best of that child's ability, whether it's, I have to find out if that child learns phonetically. I have to find out how that child learns mathematics. I have to find out if on Monday morning, why they are not having a good Monday.
Well, our expectations, we have very high expectations for our children. For instance, I teach first grade. I have students right now at this point that are reading right at a 3rd grade level. I have children writing 5-paragraph essays, doing paragraph writing, all of these things, and how that, the expectation of the school is you push the child as far as you can push that child.
We are all accountable to make sure that the students learn and achieve and succeed and are learning and doing well.
Like, we take any kid, and as a teacher, that means a lot of work, but I think that is the way education should be run, because you shouldn't discriminate against a kid because of they have this condition, or they've been bad at this school. And I think that really is the best thing that we have done at this school, is that we provide an education to anyone. And as a parent of an autistic kid, I mean, that's very refreshing, because you really don't find that in this city. There's not a lot of schools that will just openly accept any kid.
We have very high expectations for the students, very high. And that starts from the first day of school. We ask their parents to try and be involved. I know we attack like a real, diverse community here, because we actually open enrollment school. So that makes things a little bit difficult. But we expect nothing but the best from these kids. Even though we don't have the enrollment tests like some schools have, we still expect them to do just as well.
At Moulton Charter School, everyone who works here has to have high expectations for children. We cannot achieve our goals if everyone does not believe that every child can learn. And to that end, we do all that we can, and we exhaust all of our resources to ensure that everything is in place to allow children to learn.
We believe strongly that no one rises to low expectations. So therefore, we have a high expectation for all of our students, regardless of their grade level, regardless of their socioeconomical level. We believe that all students can achieve.
Everybody is a somebody here, and we try to take the individuality of our students and develop them, and just try to move them from where they are to where they need to be.
We expect excellence out of all of our children, and we teach them as if they were our own. The same thing I would expect from my child, I expect from these children, and I want them to expect it for themselves. Even the child who is more challenged than the other, we expect them to understand that they can learn. A lot of children who are struggling feel that they can't learn, and we try to emphasize the fact that yes, you can. And I generally go through a video game. Can you, you can do this. Did somebody teach you that, or did you learn that by yourself? I can't do that. That means you can learn.
They know that this is a safe haven, and we are going to treat them right, and we don't have anybody here that does not put children first. You have to be dedicated and committed to children, not to anything else but children, because that's what we're all about.
The culture here is high expectations. Children are encouraged to the highest, always to be the best they can be. They are rewarded in many ways, not just for their achievements, but for their efforts and their dedication and their really being willing to try and do their best and output their best.
We expect our kids to be respectful. We expect for them to do what it is that they need to be. We expect for them to know that the adults in front of them are people who are interested in their success and want them to learn.
I think I would like most about the school is how hard the teachers work to make sure you understand.
Failure is not an option, but we don't accept failure. You know, we never did, never will. And even when we think we're ready to give up, somebody always comes along and say, let's try this. You know, somebody always, even if I say, that's it, I don't know what else to do, somebody will come and say, why don't we try this? Or if I hear somebody say, that's it, I say, give it to Mr. So-and-so, give it to Miss So-and-so, let's work on it. We just don't give up. So I think the environment is like, I know I can get help around here. I know that they care about me, and I know that I feel loved, and that's what I think the environment is. Now, when you go talk to the staff, I'm hoping they say the same thing.
The culture here at Bethune is a loving culture. The children at ease. The children feel like they don't have to have a problem with getting to talk to the teacher. They know that they can because the teachers are available, and everybody around all work together to get the things done.
Well, I experienced a whole lot of positive things with Kai here. It is a family school. You have to make no appointments to go see the principal or anything. They hear anything that you like to say to them. You can go talk to the teacher about anything.
We talk to them as a team. We rarely talk to them as me just by myself talking to parents, because maybe I'm not here one day and then I want somebody else on a team to know what's going on with the student.
So we want to have that conversation with our parents about the education, what kind of education the child is getting, rather than some other conversations that we might have concerning behavior or other things.
4th and 8th, as you know, is high stakes grades. So for those grades, I sit down with the parents individually.
And that's what Ms. Jones did. She offered a site to the kids, and it was up to the kids and the parent to get together, to coordinate at home to get on a computer to the education site. And that's what helped a lot of kids with the LEAP test.
I know my parents, I can call them by name. I know their children. I can tell the children, if I call your mama, you know what she's gonna say.
We have each other's phone numbers, so they call me. They are not, whenever they need me, I call them just to tell them, to update them what's going on with the kids. I send notes home all the time. They send notes to me. They're able to come whenever they need to come and visit. We don't have a problem with that. So our parents are very involved.
We definitely need the support of the parents to make it happen after school. They are an intricate part of what we do here with the students. Parents are always invited to come to be supportive of their various community activities that we put on yearly, throughout the year rather. We've just had a fun day.
Inviting parents in when it's not report card time for things like Thanksgiving feast. We have a fall festival. We have something at Christmas time. We have we coming up to our field day, and all of those things are open to the parents. And part of it is inviting them in when it's not time to talk about how your child is doing. So providing those opportunities where parents can really participate with their children in a fun way, we've had so much success.
We have an open door policy. My teachers give cell phone numbers to parents.
They have my cell phone number. And if there are any problems, they can call me and let me know. But parents call me a lot to find out what's going on in the classroom, if there was any homework, did anybody miss anything. They always communicating with me.
It's open door. They can come and sit in anybody's classroom anytime that they would like.
And they know they are always welcome to stop by our door. Doors are always open to parents.
If a parent calls, if a parent comes, if I'm busy, I'll just say, wait a second, I'll see you in a moment, but I will see that parent if that parent comes. I'll return every phone call every day. Sometimes I try to return it as soon as possible, but sometimes it doesn't permit because I'm about the building, and I will return it before I go home that evening. And we don't have a problem with our parents not feeling comfortable. I think that based upon the calls that I've gotten and the requests that I've gotten, that I think that we have, we all are in this together. I think we have a family atmosphere here. As soon as I find the application, I'm gonna call you back, okay? Okay, all right, my baby. Bye-bye. See, that's a parent right there.
We have a very high poverty rate, like most of the public schools in the city, and we have to support our parents so that they can support their children.
You know, if they go home and do the homework and do the assignments, then there's no reason for them to be failing. The difficult part comes in when you have parents who work these blue collar and maybe even lesser jobs that can't really monitor and or assist with the child's homework. Then you have grandma stepping in and grandpa and auntie and uncle. You know, as a team, we have to get on the phone and call parents, sometimes call grandparents, call cousins, to make sure that someone's held accountable for that child's education, that we're not here at school, you know, on an island, essentially.
Everybody has monthly meetings with their parents. And at those meetings, it's either we're going to discuss GLEs, grade level expectations, we're going to discuss a homework policy, we talk about the uniform policy, and I also get suggestions from my parents to find out what do you need, what would you like me to talk about at the next meeting, or what kind of tools that you need for your child for home or for homework.
And the parents call the teachers. They feel very comfortable to call the teacher any time of the day to say, look, I need to do this with my child, or I had this issue with my child, or for homework at 9 o'clock.
It's a collaboration between myself, the parent, and the student. So I try to keep them as involved as possible. My classroom door is always open. People are always welcome to come in.
We show them that we care for their children. They think that they know that we view each one of these kids at this school as our own, and that's very important.
Well, I think that's one of the most important things if students are going to learn and achieve. There has to be a home and school connection, and it has to be regular. It just can't be when the student is misbehaving.
Before I was a parent liaison, I was a parent here, and it drew me to the school because it is very family oriented and it's very close knit. So even outside of the parent meetings and the parent newsletters, just one-on-one contact with the staff, with the principal. Every morning she's outside greeting the parents. So if you have any questions, any concerns, it's an open door policy.
Our parents come out and they support us and we support them because it's a partnership. And together, the parents and the school work together to ensure success.
We have some of our main activities are our October celebration, where the parents come to the school and engage in activities with their children. And then we have a Thanksgiving luncheon, and all parents are invited. We have our yearly Operetta, which we are in the process of preparing for now. It's an honor court and Operetta. And the parents are always very, very excited about that. We have a full house for every activity. We try to do some event at least once each quarter for parents to come and celebrate with us.
Parents are more receptive when they find that you're honest and you're willing to work with them, and you get more feedback, a positive feedback from them once they find out that you have the student's interest at heart.
It's just that everybody treats everybody with respect. I respect the parents, they respect me. The teachers respect the parents, they respect them. If there are any problems that the parents are having, I have an open door policy. They can come in and meet with me at any time. We can discuss whatever it is because it's all about the children.
We take so many tests so they can see what we're learning in the classroom.
At the beginning of the program, we pre-test the children. In midway, say about January, we screen them again. At the end of the program, we screen the children. The results that I do from the testing are input into an online system, and we receive printouts back either for the whole school or for the group of children that I am working with, and gives an item-by-item feedback on every skill and the overall progress.
It's like a prescription, and we get it's like what the doctor would do. Find out what your problem is and work toward fixing the problem.
We collect data throughout the school year, and right now we're in the process of the children are taking their last quarterly exams. We're gonna look at the LEAP. We're gonna look at the iLEAP.
We're going to look at the Dibbles testing, and we have now the Terra Nova test. And we're also going to look at Scantron.
Exactly.
And we're going to determine exactly the levels of where these children are and what help we can provide for the children.
The monthly student academic review is a great tool. It's a wonderful tool that drives instruction actually, and it provides wonderful data.
And so we sit with the teacher and we identify those students who are gifted, those students who are in the medium, and those students who are at the lower end.
And when those students are identified, teachers know that they have to do certain things, work with certain strategies, provide peer group tutoring, to provide individual tutoring according to the needs of the child.
We expect that those kids at the lower end of the group have either traveled up the curve to the medium group, and sometimes they move into the high group. Not always, but as long as we move them up.
If we find out that the child is not benefiting from the strategies that teacher is using, then we will help to identify other strategies that are needed to help assist that child.
We use data weekly. We have benchmark tests that's taken periodically. Periodically meaning 4 to 5 times a year, along with all of the state testing, weekly testing, daily testing. It's looked at, it's analyzed.
We use the data points that goes along with effective instruction. So if there's an instructional program that really works, then we use those data points to tell where we should go.
By keeping a check on data, that's our sure way of finding out that we're making progress rather than waiting till the end of the year when it's too late to do anything about it.
Absolutely.
We use student data constantly to understand what our kids already understand, and to be able to help us understand what we need to teach them as far as, where we need to go with their learning.
I use that data to determine how I'm going to deliver instruction. And I use that the student data to plan my lessons on a weekly basis.
And the Dibbles is administered 3 times a year, and interventions are provided to those teachers at that particular time. Once the test has been administered, they receive that data, and we suggest activities that can be used to enrich those students.
Basically, we find out through testing and assessment where students are when they first come in. After we assess them, then we find out what their strengths and weaknesses are. And we will probably use individual instruction within the class to address those specific needs.
We do the testing the state requires, of course, but we also do our own testing. Every time we do any kind of testing like that, we require the teachers to submit what we call a battle plan.
We look at the data. It's a quick turnaround. By that afternoon, after the kids have tested, we can disaggregate that data and group children by what objectives they've mastered, what objectives they still need to work on, and our teachers then go in and do what we call battle plans. They'll look at their students' data and they'll say, wow, these are the objectives they really just killed it on. They did so well. And we ask them a series of questions in this report. And one of those is, what were you doing to lend to your student's success? So on those things they did very well on, why did they do so well? And how can we apply those strategies to the objectives they didn't do well on?
Because we try to differentiate our teaching. So therefore, we try very much to look at the data and say, okay, well, Sheila and Renice needs to be in a group and Tanya Nicole needs to be in another group so that they can understand this particular objective. They need to be retaught where these children can go on with the next objective.
And so that allows us to find out if we need to accelerate or if we need to reteach some things. And it helps us to pinpoint exactly what trouble the child may be having.
And we can flip that around as we reteach the students that standard and make sure that they get it right the next time. That's an incredible amount of time and energy we spend on that, but it's been responsible for a lot of the growth in student performance and teacher performance at the school.
I give tests, I would say 3 or 4 times a week. According to that data, I either have to call parents, tell them their kid's doing great, or I'll call parents, tell them their kid's not doing so great. I think it's great here at the school because we have those aligned tests that we take throughout the school year. And in seeing parents and pastors, I always ask, well, how's my child doing this week, or how's my child doing today? And I always try and tell them, you know, well, today is okay, but a couple of days ago, he or she wasn't on the ball.
I like this school because they have teachers that teach us everything we need to know, and they would like to see us strive for excellence.
Well, from the time we dismiss till 10 o'clock it's reading and language, and then it's math. And that's in the morning. All that is in the morning. Sometimes with the upper grades, math has to carry over. And sometimes reading will carry over because we don't put really a time on reading and math. What happens is that if we need to use the other part of the day to continue with the reading and math, we do so. But they get the science, the social studies, they get the PE, the music, and they get the art. Then they have the student council, Ladies of Destiny, the choir, the band, the piano group. Our kids from pre-K through 6th grade are playing the piano with 2 hands. You know, I've had lessons and I'm still on hand 1. You know, and that our kids do love it here, and that their parents love it. If we could expand and put some beds, I think we'll have some night guests, you know, sleeping over, you know, spend the whole weekend here, you know. But it's a nice place to work and be. I think so.
I do all my work, and I am in a distinguished gentleman and in a band.
I like about my school is that the teachers, they trying to improve us in life so we can do better. We can improve our grades and do better in life.
But child goes to class, that's our highest priority for a child. The lessons are ready to go. There's no downtime in them. They're varied. There's all different things in a lesson. There's the teachers mostly use their Promethean board. So and we added some other instructional things. We added the laptops. We added the clickers. So we added some things to their lessons. So our main priority is to have the children in their lessons. But that's not enough for children. We need to have some time when they're not structured. So there's an hour or so during the day where the children are in a lunch and a recess period. So they have a nice recess and they have a nice lunchtime where they can, you know, sort of be social with their friends, and at recess time they can play. They play basketball and things like that.
We have an arts program for the creative writing and dancing and drama and all types of stuff. And then we had the majorettes, the flag twirlers, and one time this year we did a march for Pontchartrain Park, the 50th anniversary, and that was like the biggest thing of the year.
Well, they spend their time a lot engaged in learning. We expect them to be engaged in the classroom at all times. If I go in a classroom and I see the students not engaged, then I know we have some issues in that classroom that we need to talk about with the students and the teachers as well.
We're really about the whole child. We don't want our kids to only be in the classroom and only doing academics. After school activities are just as important for middle schoolers. When I think back to the things that really hooked me in school and made me excited about coming to school, a lot of that was, you know, sports and extracurricular, you know, and so we go out of our way to make sure that we have that for the kids here.
I've done everything from math through social studies, through history, you know, through my art class. And I mean, throughout the building, you'll find projects, you know, where they might be doing a landscape project through paint, but, you know, it's a math skill that they're doing. They're doing symmetry, you know, but so they're learning without really necessarily knowing that they're doing math. And I think that is probably, you know, the way to approach it, you know, because I mean, even in PE, it's the same thing. They do standards in PE, that they're doing, certain games, and they don't realize that they're learning, like a social studies, standard or a math standard.
Their children learning, because everything is related to a learning experience. With the operetta, the children have to learn speaking parts. They have to dramatize and singing, dancing. Everything it's educational.
When you walk in, I think you know that something is different here at the school. You may can't put your finger on it, and the noise that you do hear coming from the classrooms throughout the building is about learning. It's not about a discipline problem or something. It's true learning is going on here, and that's what I like about it.
Other than academics, we have a band. We have a marching band. We participate in a little small school like parades. We have cheerleaders. We have a dance team.
It's a place where teaching and learning is going on, and it's going on from the beginning of the school day to the end of the school day. Even during the lunch period, learning is going on. It's just not about eating. Something else is happening in that cafeteria, and you have to be there to understand what's happening.
We do field trips, no charge. We do free field trips for our children because we do not want a situation where a child can't participate in the field trip because they don't have money. Because remember, field trips are educational opportunities, and we don't want any child to miss out on any educational opportunity. At the end of the school year, we have what we call an operetta. We do our annual honor court presentations and operetta. It's strictly academic. The children that have received a straight A average or the highest A averages on the grade level, they are our honor court. And then we have our operetta where each and every classroom does a song and dance routine. And last year we did the Wiz. This year we're saluting New Orleans. So we have many activities that we involve children in. We'd like to have many more, but of course space limits us.
They usually go on 2 to 3 free field trips each quarter. We have visitors, mentors, they come in. In fact, we have a mentor right now, Alpha Boule. They come and address the third through 5th grade male students and tell them about their careers and motivate them to want to be successful in life.
I would never say we had a behavior problem. We had kids who were out of school without rules and regulations, and once we got a hold of that, it's been a really easy to maintain good behavior. We do a lot with behavior too. We do a lot of it. We do.
Our administrative staff do a lot of stuff to keep these kids involved, keep these kids happy, keep the kids interested. Our students don't know what to expect next, especially from our principal. She comes up with some stuff,
Once a month, something. Is it a field trip, or is it an ice cream cone, or the snowball man, or let's go outside for a minute. So we do that to keep the behavior well.
What we try to do with the children is we try to let them know what we expect them to do, but then we try to have people watching them along the way. So if when you come in the morning, you're expected to go through security, go to the cafeteria, then line up and wait for your teachers to direct you to the buildings, then we need to make sure the team of teachers are standing there at every point. So we have teachers throughout the process. One of the things that I think children do what you allow them to do. So when you don't allow them to lean to their own understanding, then they do what you ask them to do. Okay? So what we try to do is make it very difficult for them to lean to their own decision making. So we try to be there to help guide them in the decisions that we want them to make. And once you get that routine in place, they do it automatically.
I remember when I visited here in spring of 2007 when I was a candidate for this job. And the place was chaotic, particularly on the 3rd floor where the older children are. There was very little respect that they showed to each other or to teachers. So we had to create the level of respect for the professionals who work in the building and expect them to reciprocate with respect for the students and respect for each other. And we did that with the students as well. And I think that level of reciprocity, of respect for the jobs that teachers have to do, the jobs that kids have to do, really makes a difference every day.
And
Countless
consistency,
times.
consistency,
Right. Yes.
consistency. If they know that when they walk in here, what we expect of them. Bottom line, you act a certain way, you do certain things, and if you're having difficulty, we understand that. We all have days when we don't want to be here and we don't want to behave a certain way, and we don't.
But one of the things we do too is discipline with dignity.
We'll pull them aside and we'll bring them in our office. And Nicole's famous quote is, "What's wrong with you? You need to take a nap." And they'll really sometimes just take a nap, and when they wake up, they feel so much better. One little boy came in my office and Mr. Bell asked him, he said, "Man, what's wrong?" And he just started crying and crying. He never answered the question, and that was okay. But I'll tell you, after those 3 days that he spent in my office, he has not been in my office since. And not that he was so much punished, but he just really needed that time away to get to himself.
First of all, we don't do name calling. We're not going to say, "Hey, knucklehead, come here." We're going to call them by name, because we learn the names of our students. Rather we say, "Come here, Mr. Tap," or if we don't necessarily know their first name, we're not going to scream, "Stop running down the hallway." Walk, young lady. Walk, young man.
I think it's teaching them what the expectations are and changing the way you talk to children so that you're talking to them positively, not negatively.
Yes.
Not telling them, "Don't do this, you always do that, don't do that, don't do this. Hey, this is what we expect. I need you to do this."
We also have social workers. That's another thing too. If our kids are going through some things, whether it's a death or a moving or anything, we try to. Teachers will let us know about different things, and a lot of times they will tell social workers. But the main thing is letting everybody in the formula know what's going on, so that nobody's in the dark.
We're very firm, but by the same token, I'm going to discipline you with dignity, and I'm going to remain with my dignity. And I'm going to show you that I'm not going to get out of character, or I'm not going to let you get me out of character, because as they say, you can never control another person's behavior, only your reaction to it. So we have to there's many times when we probably want to snatch somebody and say, "What are you doing?" But we have to remain as professionals. We have to remain in control of our behavior so that we can show our students that it's not about constantly getting a whipping or somebody yelling and cursing at you, that you can have a civilized conversation and change your behavior.
We do expect them to take responsibility for their education. That's one of our values, and we go back to that all of the time. If they're not doing that, then that's the question we ask them. Can you tell me how your behavior right now demonstrates that you're taking responsibility for yourself?
Well, the first day of school, we set the tone. As far as behavior is concerned, we have a school-wide rule about behavior, and each student is expected to maintain that specific behavior that we have set up here. And for the most part, they do.
I find a lot of schools have problems with discipline. And I just like to indicate that if everybody buys in to the discipline policies of the school, then you will not have discipline problems. We've been in existence since 06, 07 as a charter school. We were in existence since, I was a principal since 92, prior to Katrina. And from 92 through 2011, we only had one suspension. And since we've been a charter school, we've had no suspensions. Now, does that mean that all of our children are perfect? Certainly not. But they do know the rules and regulations, and they follow them because they know that we expect them. That's where we get that high expectation. It's not just about academics, it's about everything. And they know what types of behaviors are acceptable and what we expect them to do. And fortunately, they have adhered to those behaviors that are good.
Because our children, when they're in public, you know our children. They're very mannered, very, very, I don't even know the word for it, because it's amazing how when we take them on field trips, they behave so well. When you look at other schools, in our school, our children are always together.